Welcome, Wildcats. Last week we were looking at polynomials and we started talking about how to add and subtract polynomials. Today we're going to take the next step. We're going to look at multiplying polynomials. Now, multiplying polynomials is very similar to what we used to do with long multiplication back in the dark days before we just pulled out our calculator. But let's take a look at the individual steps. So, when it came to addition and subtraction of polynomials, all you did was you added or subtract the coefficients, and then the exponents up top, you kept those the same as what they were. So if you had 2x squared plus 3x squared, 2 plus 3 was 5, but it was still 5x squared. Now here's the difference. With multiplication, we're going to multiply the coefficients, but we're also going to add the exponents. So if you have 3x squared and 2x squared, then 2 times 3 is 6, and then the squared and squared on the x, 2 times 2 is 4, so you would have 6x to the 4th power. Let's take a look at what that looks like in an actual example problem now. So I'm going to teach you two different methods to solve these. The first one is the old school basic simple method. You write all the polynomials in standard form, you stack the polynomials up in standard form, and you throw in zero spacers if you need to. Here's what I mean by that. You will multiply all the terms together using our old long multiplication process, and then you'll add all the like terms. So if you were to have 2x squared plus 3x plus 2 as your problem, and you were going to multiply that by negative 2x squared plus 6, notice in that second polynomial you're missing an x term. So when you write the first one down, you'll just write exactly what you had in standard form from largest to smallest. In the second one though, make sure you add in that zero spacer for your x. So long multiplication says you start from the ones column, so you'll multiply each column by each other column. So we start with 6 times 2, which gives us 12. 6 times 3x gives us 18x, and 6 times 2x squared gives us 12x squared. So you work from right to left there. Don't forget your zero spacer at the start, and then you're going to have 0x times 2, 0 times 3, 0 times 2. So your next row for this problem is actually all zeros. Finally, on this last one, because this is your third column over, you need 2 zero spacers. And then you take your negative 2x squared times 2, giving you negative 4x squared. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. X squared times x is x cubed. And finally, 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. X squared times x squared is x to the 4th. Notice that if you've set everything up correctly and you have put your zero spacers in correctly, those are the blue zeros, then you're actually right on top of each other, and this just becomes an addition problem. Negative 4x to the 4th, negative 6x cubed, and then 12x squared minus 4x squared is 8x squared, and then our last two are just stacked on top of each other as well. 18 and 18, 12 and 12. So that is our first method, and this is our answer. This is the old school long multiplication method. However, many of you were taught a newer method called the box method. So for the box method, you still need to write your polynomials in standard form, but then you're going to need to rewrite them in a table form with zero spacers. Again, that's if needed. Then you'll multiply all the terms together. I said using long multiplication. I'm not sure exactly how to word that, but I'll show you what I mean. And then finally, you add like terms on the diagonals. So we're going to use the same example problem. You take the first polynomial and you're going to write it across the top. So 2x plus 3x plus 2, and then you take the second one down the side, negative 2x squared, and again we need to get our zero spacer in here, that's 0x, and 6. So the nice thing about the table method here is it makes it much easier for you to figure out what gets multiplied by what. So 2x squared times negative x squared, negative 2x squared, is negative 4x squared. And then going across the top, 3 times negative 2 is negative 6, x squared times x is x cubed, negative 2 times 2 for negative 4x squared. Our next row is all zeros because that's where our 0x is. And then 6 times 2x squared, 12x squared. 6 times 3 is 18, so 18x. And finally 6 times 2 is 12. So we've got all of our multiplication done in our table, and those 9 entries in the middle tell us everything we need. But now we're going to take our diagonals off of, let's see which way, this diagonal. So starting from the top, you've got negative 4x to the fourth. Then coming down, you have negative 6x cubed and 0. Then you have negative 12x squared, 0, and negative 4x squared. Finally, 18x and 0, and 12. So each of those different circles is all of your like terms that need to be combined. So you have negative 4x squared, negative 4x to the fourth, negative 6x cubed, and then 12 minus 4 is 8, so 8x squared, 18x, and 12. So those are the two methods we're going to use to learn how to do our multiplication of polynomials. Yes, there are online websites that you can go to that will solve all of these just for you. And you won't need to do anything, you'll just have to type them in and it'll throw out the answer. However, if you are using those on your homework, you're not going to be able to use them on CBAs and you're not going to be able to use them on tests, so you're not going to be able to do it there. If you can't do it on the test, then that's going to be reflected in your grade, and it's going to be very questionable when your stuff comes back and you're asking me, why didn't I do good on the test? And the response is, well, because you didn't fill out the homework using your brain. So Wildcats, that is everything you need for Unit 4.2. It is a 15-problem homework assignment. I have every faith that you guys can get through it just fine, so good luck.